So, what is the many worlds interpretation? Well, before I start, perhaps it's best to quote a famous physicist, the man himself, Erwin Schrödinger, who, in 1952, said that what he is about to say may seem lunatic. The many worlds interpretation, at its core, attempts to answer one question: how does the wave function work? After all, going by other interpretations of the world, how could we possibly imagine an independent system measuring, say, the spin of an electron as both being up and down while simultaneously being neither? In our traditional concept of the world, that simply doesn't make sense. Cue the many worlds interpretation. Strictly speaking, the many worlds interpretation comes into play every time there is a random outcome to a quantum measurement. Instead of forcing the quantum measurement to choose an outcome, why not have both? Instead of one universe where only one outcome occurred, a separate world or universe is completely identical to the original is created. Same space-time and all else being equal except for the one electron that was measured for its spin, where in one universe the spin was measured to be up and in the other the spin was measured to be down. So, what does this mean for us? Well, in reality, probably not much. The measurement of quantum phenomena, such as the spin of an electron, is likely to be extremely inconsequential, even if you were to count every single measurement of free electrons ever to happen since the beginning of the universe. It is important to differentiate the many worlds interpretation in opposition to other theories of similar yet distinct concepts, such as with traditional pop sciencey parallel universes. The many worlds interpretation is strictly to address the wave function, not personal choices. So, if the many worlds interpretation were true, that doesn't mean that there exists a parallel universe where you decide to eat Cheerios instead of Cinnamon Toast Crunch for breakfast. A consequence of the many worlds interpretation is its deterministic nature. Given that universes of every quantum phenomena exist, but you presently only exist in one, that means that there is some level of certainty to every quantum measurement you make. There was no probability in any quantum phenomenon, as both happen. Further, the many worlds interpretation is also, by definition, decoherent. What is decoherence, I hear you ask? Well, it's better to answer that with another question. What is coherence? Coherence, simply put, is a system and its measurements acting accordingly and strictly by the outcomes as predicted by the wave function. However, because the many worlds interpretation allows for all outcomes to exist simultaneously and separately, there is no total collapse of the wave function, meaning it is decoherent. It is important to note that it is pretty unique compared to most decoherent theories, as most decoherent theories have to deal with quantum states being deterministic not by the wave function, but by some nature or other, generally classical, phenomenon. Now, you may be asking yourself, what about probability? Quantum physics isn't always 50-50. Like with measuring electron spin, if you orient an observer such that it isn't perpendicular to the previous observer, there will be a certain non-50-50 chance that it will be read up or down. But since the measurement is only binary, that means that only two universes, one where the electron is up and one where it is down, can result from it. One view model supposes that sentience may be the answer. In this model, dubbed the many minds interpretation, sentience is as important to the measurement of a quantum effect as the system itself. Every quantum measurement creates this continuum of the mind, where the universe is a superposition of these continuums. Each continuum belongs to one being, and each mind in the continuum is independent and random from each other mind. Since there is an infinite amount of minds, the problem of probability is solved, as a mind will exist for every measurement infinitely over. However, as one might expect, this does leave some gaps in the many minds interpretation, as well as introducing an entirely new, more complex framework for the universe. A more traditional, though slightly more philosophical/semantical idea is the idea of ignorance probability, which deals with the universe post-measurement. Let's say I flip a coin right now, and it lands on heads. If I were to ask you what was the chance of the coin being heads, you could respond 50-50, or you could say 100%. See, living in the universe we are in now, the coin is heads, definitively. So if I were to rewind time and go back to right before this coin flip and ask you, what side do you think the coin would land on? You would say heads, as there's no chance it could be tails. Key emphasis on the term, there is no chance, as the universe where the coin is heads will always be the universe where the coin is heads. Therefore, asking in terms of probability isn't necessary. So I hope you were taking notes, because here's the test. Good luck!